Okay, Likutei Halachos, or Chaim Michas Fi Halacha Dalet. We're starting Halacha Dalet today. This is based on the Maisa of Tefila, of the owner of prayer, the master of prayer. That's the 12th Maisa, the Sikura Maisias. It's a rather long and complex Maisa, and being that I don't know how many people have heard Los Maisa, we're going to go over it. So when we go into the halacha, we'll know what Los is talking about. I will transliterate it as we go along, do the kitzur. Once there was a master of prayer that was praying all the time, praising Hashem, singing to Hashem, and he was sitting out of town. And he used to come into town every once in a while, would come to a person, usually small, low person, like poor people, and talk to them about the tachlis of this world. That really there's no tachlis in this world except to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Just to serve and to finish, to spend your days davening to Hashem, sing to Hashem. And he would talk and he would really, work them up until the person would hear his dibur. That person would be willing to go with him. Immediately, when the person acquiesced, he would take him to his place outside the issue. Because that Baal Tefila had himself a place outside the issue, outside town, and that place had a river going on, there were trees, there were fruits, and they would eat from the fruits. And clothes, I didn't care about clothing. If you're wearing this, you're wearing that, stram or this, he didn't care. And that's the way I used to go to people, used to call people out, Avodas Hashem, and deal with tefillah. And everybody that would agree with him, we would take him out, and there they would stay, and all they would do was just pray, and they would sing, and they would praise to Hashem. And they were doing confessions, and they were doing tanisim, they would fast, and sigufim and tshuva, all kinds of, and he would give them his own essays and tefillahs that he used to write. Like he had prayers that he would write about tefillahs and shiras and viduim, and they were working on it. And when some of the people that were there became worthy of it, to get people close to Avodas Hashem, so you would give one permission that he would go into a yeshiva at the town, also be Osik in that. In other words, bring people to Hashem. And that's what the Baal Tefila used to do. He used to bring people close to Hashem all the time until it started to become famous. People started shushkining, about this guy. Some people have stayed, people didn't know where they are, somebody, his son suddenly disappeared, whatever. And then they found out that there is a Baal Tefila, that talks people into Avodas Hashem. But it was not possible to recognize him and catch him, because this Baal Tefila was smart. He was changing himself. Whenever he came to bed, he camouflaged himself. And this one saw him as a poor person, this one saw him as a soicher, as a merchant. And each one he would come to see him. When he saw that it was not possible to talk to that person about his kavanah, he would deceive them about his kavanah. The Bechlal didn't realize what his really true good kavanah was, his true aim was. As if Bechlal not what he's about. You have to bring people to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because it wasn't possible to understand, this is what it meant. But the main thing is true kavanah was only for that. He saw a person he couldn't do, so you would twist him. So everybody knew about him, everybody wanted to catch him, but nobody could. So they were like this, they're sitting in the chutz of the yishuv, and they were davening, and they were praying, and this and that. And the aim of Baal Tefila is that he gave each one of his people what he needed. If he knew that what he needed, call it this moach, is to go around wearing golden clothes, he would give him golden clothes. And if he took, like a rich person came to him and he understood that he used to go with torn clothes, give him torn clothes. Each one he gave him what he needed. But these people, the Tanisim, and even Sigufim by them, there was the biggest pleasure in the world. They had more pleasure from Tanisim and Sigufim than anything in the world. Okay. One day there was a place, there was a Medina, there was a country, it was a big very wealthy country. Everybody was wealthy. They were very weird. Everything by them was merited, was measured according to how much money they had. The amount of each one, Forbes 500, 1,000, whatever it is, according to how much money they had. Anybody who had that much money, that was according to how much money they had. How many millions, how many billions, how many whatever. And also they had like flags, they had like clubs. That whoever had that much money, he belonged to that club. Whoever had that much money, it's another flag. It's like each one, according to whatever it is that they, and they would be worried, if it was the fourth in the Forbes or the 10th in the Forbes list, whatever it is, it was like the whole thing was about that. And it was by them, if a person has that much money, he's just a person. And if he has less than that, he's not even a person. He's an animal or a bird or whatever it is. So they had like a human lion and even a human cockroach. Lying on the Bowery. It's not a person, but like each one was measured according to how much money he had. And when they heard that such a Medina about Tefila was sighing, and he says, who knows how far they can really get? Who knows how far they can really get with this toast, with this shtus? So some of the people, one of his people, didn't ask him, and they went there because they had big achmanas on them. And Bifrat, the Baal Tefila said that they can mistake further, they can go further. So they went there and they said maybe they were making tshuva. So they got to this country and they come to an animal. And the person he said so little money, he's like an animal. They started talking to him, really, the main thing is already Hashem, and he wouldn't listen to them. Because by them it was, the main thing is money, forget about it. They would talk with another one, wouldn't hear to them at all. And he, the person of the Baal Tefila, the one of the students of the Baal Tefila kept on talking about it. The person said, listen, besides that, I don't have any time to talk to you anymore. So why? He says, we want to leave our Medina to go to a different place. Because being that the main thing is money and making money, we go to that place, we go to America, we go to that place, I don't know, it's just like they're going to a place that over there you can really make money. In other words, over there there's a place where there's this ore from which you make gold and silver, you can really make money. The gold rush, over there, that's the place. Then they decided that it's not enough they would have, just flags, whatever it is. They want to have stars and muscles and zodiac. In other words, somebody will have so much money, he'll be a star. He'll be like a star because he has so much money and he has the koyach of the star because all the gold and silver, it comes from the koyach, it comes from the stars. So if he has so much money, he has the koyach of that star. So he's like a star. He's like a star. And so forth and so on. And then they decided that somebody will have so much money, he's like a god. Like a god. God has all the money. He will be God because money comes from God. He has so much money, he's God himself. That's what they did. Then they decided they can't even stay with other people. They can't even stay with other people because they can't even breathe the same air. They need to be in a gated community. They have to be in a place, they shouldn't be, because everybody is like tumadik in front of them. It's like people with no money. It's like. So they found these high mountains. They would sit there. They would be, away and secluded from the air of the riffraff, the unwashed masses. Away from them. They make big walls around them. The gates and stuff like this. Nobody can come to them. It's only like a. And that's the way that. In other words, and then they had gods according to the money, and being that they became gods, so much money, then, they became very much afraid from murder and from stealing. Because everybody would kill and to be to be a god. Because so they said, since somebody was so rich, he's a god, he will guard them, he will keep them from. So what they did was they did all kinds of sacrifices and korbanos. They would sacrifice and they would worship the people that had a lot of money. Yeah. So they would even kill themselves. Maybe they were reincarnate. If they sacrifice to that rich person, they'll reincarnate, and he will also be rich. The whole emunah, the whole faith was money. The whole thing was money. They had avodas, they had kabbalas, they had gods, everything. Everything is money. So, and that place was full with murder, full with crime. Because anybody who didn't believe in all this worshiping, whatever it is, that way he was just killed. He's just going to take the money. Because through the money you can buy clothes, you can buy this, everything is through the money. And of course they would do everything not, to diminish the much money that they had. So for sure, giving tzedakah, there were merchants going out, they had the export, whatever it is, and they had, gas in the middle of the sea, and whatever it is, and all kinds of stuff, and high-tech and startups and the whole thing. And it's just to bring more and more money to Medina. Of course, to give tzedakah was a big issue because, you're diminishing the money that God gave you. And they had people that would count how much money people have. So you shouldn't you have to show your wealth. So people would say, otherwise it says, Forbes 500, do you belong, you don't belong, you're up the list, you're down the list, whatever. That sometimes a person would become an animal, a person, an animal, so forth and so on. And somebody, a person earned money, so from an animal become a person, from a person become a god or whatever. Everything, and they had pictures of these gods. They had pictures of Trump, of Zuckerberg, of what's his name, of Steve Jobs, of Gates, and they would hug them, and they would kiss them, and they would be fan-based, and the whole thing. These people in Tefila, they came in Tefila, they told the whole story. That they want to move to another place, and this, and whatever it is, and they made themselves gods. Tefila says that's what he was worried about. Tefila had the big rachmanis in them, so he went there. So he went there and he spoke to some of the smaller people because the big ones, they're not accessible. You can't get to them, with all the secretaries and everything else. So he started to talk to them, and they these guards, they were the bodyguards of the rich people, and they're standing by the fancy cars, the Rolls Royces, whatever it is, and it's like, and they would kiss them. But the main emunah was money. So the Baal Tefillah came, he started talking to them, and the whole thing is shtus. The whole thing is nonsense. So he spoke to him and they wouldn't listen to him. Then he went, the Baal Tefillah did what he did, and he went to town. He said, how did you get here? Nobody can get here. So he says, he started talking about the talkers that wouldn't listen to him. And then they started saying, maybe that's the Baal Tefillah, that's the one. So they said, he was famous as the Tefillah Baal Tefillah. And but still he managed to deceive them and he went out. There was a day there was a big gibber. There was a big hero, Alexander the Great, this big gibber. And a few Giberim, a few mighty, brave people, they came to him. And this gibber, together with his people, they would go and conquer lands. Just, make an empire. And all he wanted is just for people to surrender. If the people would surrender to him, he would let them go. And if not, he would destroy them. And he went and destroyed, and he didn't want any money. All he wanted is surrendering. That's his way. And what he would do, he would send his emissaries while he was still far away. He says, listen, I'm coming to you. All right? You have a choice. I ask nice. Now, when this the merchants, the Medinas of Shiraz, they came to their land and they told them about this hero. And they became very much afraid. And of course, they were very happy to be machniah themselves, to surrender before him. But when they heard that he doesn't want money, that he's not interested in money, and this is the opposite of their emunah, it was impossible for them to surrender to him. How did they surrender to him? It's the opposite of their emunah. So they started doing avodas and bringing korbanos to their gods and whatever it is, and sacrificing whatever it is. And this giver would come closer to them, closer and closer to them, and they were very much afraid. So they asked their people, being that they are the Medina, that in the other Medina, it's America. Everybody's a god over here. The gold in the Medina, the streets are paved with gold. It's like everybody's a god there. So for sure they will save them. And they were going with malachim. In other words, their vehicles were so expensive that they were worth enough money to be considered an angel, a Learjet, a Gulfstream G3 or 35, whatever it is. And their vehicles, their horses would have so much gold in them and jewels in them that they called themselves were malachim. And so they're going to send in this Medina, for sure they're going to help them. Because they believe from there will be the Yeshua. The Baal Tefila decided he's going to go there again. So he went and he spoke, and the guard told him about this gibber. So he says, what do you want to do? He says, we want to go to this other Medina, to America. That America should save us. So he said, this is a shtus, the people just like you. They're not going to save you nothing. You and your gods, and then everybody's going to fall. And he said, but the Shema did not listen to him. But at the end, the Shema said, and besides, what can I do? I'm just one. I'm one person. There are many. And there was a shtickle mechomet about Tefila. He saw that the words started to go in. He said, what can I do? I'm just one person. Oh, okay. It started to go in. And then he went to another one, the same thing. At the end, he says, what can I do? I'm just one person. He kept on going. And he went to the town, he's talking to them like everybody's just a shtus. And they told him this Gibor that they want to send in this Medina to save them and everything. So he told them they're not going to help you. They're people just like you. And he says, the Gibor? Are you talking about that here? Isn't that particular Gibor that I know of? And nobody knew. What is he talking about? And he said, then they started making noise in town. He started making fun of their emunah. He said there's only a Kodesh Baruch. And when he talks about the Gibor, he says, what is this Gibor? And they understood this bavad about the Baal Tefila. That's the culprit. That's Rabbi Nachman. They're going to catch him. And the order to catch him, even though he changes by everyone, they knew. And they caught him and they took him to the ministers. They started talking to him. And he told them also, we are talking shtusim, va'avolim, nonsense from beginning to end. There's only one creator. You have to serve him. And all the people that you think that are gods in that Medina, they won't help you at all. They're just people. And they consider him crazy. He's a madman. When you sit learning Torah, they won't be nonsense. They're all deep in the mistake of money. And the one that spoke against the emunah, this emunah was considered to be insane. We'll end up here, and we'll continue the story tomorrow, Mr. Shem.